The night felt heavier than usual. The sky above was pitch black, as if someone had painted it with thick layers of darkness. I sat inside the last bus of the evening, my forehead leaning against the cold window. Raindrops hit the glass one after another, sliding down slowly, almost like they were racing with the tears I refused to shed. My elbow rested on the window frame, my eyes half closed, and my mind playing only one sentence again and again. She likes someone else. The words weren't echoing around me. They were echoing inside me somewhere deep, somewhere painful. I wanted to cover my ears, but what was the point? You can't mute your own heart. The bus jerked suddenly, snapping me out of my spiral. I looked around and realized I had been lost in that one thought for too long. Her voice, her smile, her silly jokes, her midnight confessions. Everything was stabbing me now. I whispered to myself, why wasn't I enough? The bus mirror showed my reflection, tired eyes, swollen and red, and a face that barely looked alive. When the bus stopped, I stepped out slowly. Cold rain hit me immediately, soaking through my hair and clothes. The street was almost empty, only dim yellow lights flickering under the rain, making the whole scene feel even lonelier. Every step I took felt heavier. The world around me felt blurry, but the memories inside me, painfully clear. Her face, her soft laugh, her eyes that used to look at me like I mattered. Now those same memories burned. I stopped under a streetlight and looked up at the sky. God, what did I do wrong? My voice cracked. Rain kept falling relentless, merciless, almost as if the sky understood my pain. Flashback yesterday evening. She was standing in front of me. Beautiful, calm, innocent. But her eyes didn't shine the way they used to. I smiled, trying to hide the fear that had been growing inside me. You wanted to say something? She inhaled sharply, then looked down. My heart felt like it paused. Hey, did I ever hurt you? I asked gently. She quickly shook her head. No, you never hurt me. You've always been good to me. You're one of the best people I know. Then why do you look so scared? I whispered. A painful silence. Then she finally said it. I think I like someone else. Those words sliced through me. My smile stayed on my lips, but inside, everything collapsed. Oh, all right, I said, trying to stay calm. She wiped her tears and walked away. I didn't call her back. I didn't chase her. I just stood there watching her fade into the distance, and something inside me faded with her. Back to present. I walked through the wet streets, numb and quiet. The rain was getting stronger now, crashing onto the road, flowing around my shoes. I whispered to myself, why does it hurt this much? Why wasn't I enough for her? I took out my phone. Her picture lit up the screen. She was smiling. I was smiling. And that moment froze my heart. I clenched my jaw. No, I won't run away. I won't disappear. I just need to talk to her. One last time. My chest was tight, my breaths uneven, but my decision was clear. Tonight, I will go see her, even if it breaks me, near her street. As I reached the entrance of her neighborhood, everything inside me started shaking. Every memory lives here, every moment we shared, every dream I once had. Something felt different tonight, though, like the air itself was warning me. My fingers were cold, but my heart was burning. I stopped at the corner, took a deep breath, and told myself, go, say the truth, say everything. No matter what happens, at least you'll stop hurting alone. I stepped forward, but just then, I heard laughter, her laughter. I turned my head slowly and saw her, standing under a bright umbrella, with him. The same guy whose name shattered me yesterday. They were close, too close. She laughed again. That soft, innocent laugh I fell in love with. And when she smiled at him, I felt something inside me tear apart. He said something to her and I heard her reply, time flies when I'm with you. She laughed again, and my world went quiet. A heartbreaking moment. My legs weakened. My chest tightened so hard I could barely breathe. I covered my eyes with one hand, but her voice kept hitting me like arrows. Everything I ever wished for, everything I ever dreamed of, was standing right there, with someone who wasn't me. Enough. I whispered to myself. That's enough. I can't watch this. I turned around. My steps were slow and shaking. I didn't look back. The rain got even heavier, pounding against the road, against my skin, against my already broken heart. The last scene end of part 1. I walked down the empty street. No destination. No strength. No hope. But somewhere, in the middle of all the pain, something inside me shifted. I whispered, "This story isn't over. Not for me. Not yet. I'll rise. I'll change. And if fate allows, maybe one day she'll look back at me." I looked up at the sky. Rainwater washed my face, mixing with the tears I didn't want to admit. And I kept walking, into the darkness, into the silence, but with a fire inside me I had never felt before. The night didn't let me sleep, not even for a moment. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling as the same scene replayed in my mind again and again, her laughing with him under that umbrella. Every time her smile flashed before my eyes, a sharp pain went straight through my chest. By morning, I felt hollow, exhausted, and emotionally drained. But even with all that, I still got up, because I had something left to say, something I couldn't hold inside anymore. When I looked at myself in the mirror, I barely recognized the person staring back. My face looked tired, my eyes lifeless. I whispered to my reflection, "Just tell her the truth. Say it once. After this, whatever happens, at least you won't regret staying silent." I put on my jacket, took a deep breath, and stepped outside. The morning was cold, quiet, and heavy with clouds. Every step I took toward her house felt heavier than the last. My hands were shaking not because of the weather, but because of everything inside me that I wasn't ready to face. I stood at her door for nearly a minute, trying to gather my courage, when suddenly the door opened, and she was standing there. She looked surprised, tired, and a little guilty. "Hey," she said softly. My voice felt dry when I asked, "Can we talk?" She hesitated, then nodded. "Yeah, come inside." Her room looked exactly the same, warm, familiar, filled with memories of all the conversations we once had. The moment I stepped in, her scent wrapped around me like a reminder of everything I was about to lose. She sat on the edge of her bed, while I took the chair across from her. Silence filled the room until she finally spoke. "You look tired. Did you sleep?" I shook my head lightly. "No." "Because of yesterday?" she asked. "Yes." There was no point pretending. She lowered her eyes, and guilt washed over her face. "I didn't want to hurt you," she whispered. "I know," I said quietly, "but it still hurt." Her eyes slowly lifted to meet mine, and I could see the conflict, the confusion, the fear inside them. I leaned forward. "I came here today because there's something I need to tell you before I lose the courage again." She stiffened a little. "I'm listening." My chest tightened as I spoke. "I cared for you more than I ever admitted, more than I should have, but I did. Your smile, your messages, your presence, they meant more to me than I ever showed." Her eyes softened, tears forming at the corners. "But yesterday," I continued, my voice breaking, "seeing you with him, it crushed me." A tear slipped down her cheek. She wiped it quickly and whispered, "I didn't plan any of this. I didn't push you away because I stopped caring. I just didn't know what to do." "What do you mean?" I asked. She took a shaky breath. "I felt something for you. I really did. And for some time, I even thought maybe it could turn into something more. But then someone else came into my life, and suddenly everything got confusing. I didn't want to lie to you, but I didn't want to lie to myself either." I remained silent, letting her speak. "I thought distancing myself would help you move on." Her voice fell apart at the last words. "Move on?" That hit me harder than anything else. "You should have told me," I whispered. "I was scared," she replied. "Of hurting me? No, of choosing wrong. That hurt deeper than rejection, because I wasn't her choice. I was her, maybe. I wasn't asking you to choose me," I said quietly. "I was asking you to be honest." She covered her face with her hand as she tried to steady her breathing. I know I messed everything up." I stood up slowly. "Are you leaving?" she whispered. "Not yet." I said gently. I moved closer, crouched down in front of her, and looked into her trembling eyes. I'm not here to force anything. I just needed you to know what you meant to me. You deserved to hear the truth, even if it never changes anything. Her lips trembled as tears streamed down her face. And now that I've said everything, I added softly, I'll accept whatever you feel, even if it's not me. She broke down and leaned forward, wrapping her arms around me. It wasn't a romantic hug. It wasn't casual either. It was a goodbye hug, without saying goodbye. Her voice shook against my shoulder. I never wanted to lose you. My eyes burned as I hugged her back gently, trying to memorize that moment for the last time. When she pulled away, her face was wet with tears. I'm sorry, she whispered. I know, I said with a small, broken smile. I stood up, turned toward the door, and walked slowly. She didn't stop me. She couldn't. Because deep down, we both knew this moment had to happen. Before leaving, I looked at her one last time. Thank you. For everything. She swallowed hard. No. Her voice cracked. Thank you. For loving me more than I deserved. My heart almost stopped at those words. I nodded slowly, stepped outside, and the door closed behind me. That soft sound felt like it ripped my heart from inside. And at that moment, I knew nothing would ever be the same again. The moment I stepped out of her house, the air felt colder than before. It wasn't the weather. It was the silence. The kind that settles in after something breaks inside you. I walked slowly down the empty street, hands in my pockets, feeling the weight of every word we exchanged. Her voice, those trembling apologies, the way she hugged me like she was afraid I'd disappear, all of it kept echoing in my head. My phone vibrated. A message from her. Did you reach? My fingers hovered over the screen. Part of me wanted to reply. Part of me wanted to disappear. Finally, I typed. Yeah. I didn't add anything else. She didn't reply either. For the first time in months, our conversation ended just like that. Short, incomplete, empty. I went home, dropped onto my bed, and stared at the ceiling again. But this time, it wasn't confusion that kept me awake. It was the kind of pain that doesn't let you breathe properly. I kept hearing her voice. I felt something for you. I thought it could turn into something more. I didn't know what to choose. Why does it hurt more when someone admits they cared, but not enough? Days passed, and I tried to live normally. Tried to focus on work. Tried to laugh with friends. Tried to distract myself. But everywhere I went, something reminded me of her. The song she liked. The cafe she loved. The shortcut we took together once. Her favorite umbrella hanging outside someone's shop. Every little thing pulled me back to her. One night, I finally broke. I opened our chat and scrolled up, through old messages filled with jokes, long talks, late-night confessions, little emojis she loved using. It felt like I was reading a story that never got its ending. In a moment of weakness, I messaged her. Are you awake? She replied instantly. Yes. Why? I stared at her response for a few seconds, trying to decide whether to continue or just delete it. Before I could think too much, I typed, I miss talking to you. She didn't answer for a while. Those minutes felt like hours. Finally, her message popped up. I miss you too. My heartbeat slowed, but not in relief. In confusion. What do you mean by that? I typed. There was another long pause before she replied. I miss us, but I don't know if I'm allowed to. Her words hit me like a punch. She wasn't choosing me. She was choosing guilt. I didn't want to be someone's second thought. I took a deep breath and typed, You don't need permission to miss someone. She responded almost instantly, But I don't want to hurt you again. I closed my eyes. The truth was painful, but it was honest. You already did, I wrote. But I healed, a little. She replied, I don't want to lose you completely. I stared at that message for a long time. I finally typed, Then be honest with yourself. Do you want me, or do you want the comfort I gave you? She didn't reply. A whole hour passed. Then finally, I don't know. That was it. Those 3 words shattered whatever hope I was holding on to. I didn't respond. And for the first time since everything began, I muted her chat. Not because I stopped caring, but because caring alone was destroying me. The next day, she didn't message. The day after that, Still nothing. It was the longest silence we had ever shared. On the third night, I got a call. Her name flashed on my screen. My heart raced. My fingers trembled. I hesitated, then picked up. She didn't say hello. Her voice was already breaking. "Why did you stop talking to me?" she whispered. "Because I needed to breathe. Because every message from you felt like a wound reopening. Because I was tired of being almost loved. But I didn't say any of that. I thought you needed space," I said calmly. "No," she cried softly. "I needed you." Those words, they shook me. I sat up straight. "What do you mean?" "I don't know how to explain it," she said between breaths. "I'm scared. I'm confused. But when you stepped out of my house that day, something inside me broke too." My throat tightened. She continued, "I thought choosing him was easier. He's stable. He's clear. He knows what he wants. But with you, everything feels deeper. It feels real. And real things scare me." Her honesty cut through me like lightning. Sharp, bright, unavoidable. I asked quietly, "What do you want right now?" The line went silent for a moment. Then she whispered, "I want you to hold me, even if it's just with your words." My chest warmed and ached at the same time. "I'm still here," I said softly. "I never left." She sobbed quietly, and I could almost imagine her curled up on her bed, holding her phone close. We talked for nearly an hour. Slowly, painfully, honestly. And by the end of the call, she said something I didn't expect. "Can we meet tomorrow?" My breath caught. "Why?" Her voice softened. Nervous, emotional, trembling. "Because I need to look into your eyes before I make my decision." And suddenly, everything felt heavier. Tomorrow could change everything, or end everything. The next morning felt heavier than usual. My heart kept beating in a strange rhythm, part fear, part hope, part something I couldn't even name. The entire night I had replayed her last words again and again in my mind. "I need to look into your eyes before I make my decision." Those words scared me more than anything else. Because a decision can save you, or completely destroy you. I got ready slowly, carefully, like every movement mattered. I checked my reflection twice, then a third time. Even though I knew none of that really mattered to her, or maybe it did, I didn't know anymore. We decided to meet at that quiet park near the old bridge, a place where we had talked once before, where she had laughed about something stupid I said, and where I had secretly fallen for her without realizing it. I reached early, too early. I walked around, sat on a bench, stood up again, paced back and forth. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. Every few seconds I'd check my phone, even though there were no new messages. Then suddenly, I heard footsteps behind me. I turned, and she was there. She looked nervous, shy, unsure, and beautiful in a way that felt painful. Her hair was tied loosely, her eyes tired, her lips pressed together like she was holding words back. For a few seconds, neither of us spoke. "Hi," she said softly. "Hi." She walked closer, slowly, like she wasn't sure if she was allowed to come near me. When she finally stopped, she stood just a few steps away, close enough for me to hear her breathing. "You came early," she said. "I didn't want to make you wait." She looked down at her hands, twisting her fingers nervously. "I've been thinking all night," she whispered. "I know," I replied. Her eyes met mine, those same eyes that once made me feel at home, and now made me feel lost. She took a shaky breath. "I need to be honest today. Completely honest. No filters, no fear, no pretending." "Okay," I said quietly. She hesitated for a moment before starting. "When you walked out of my house that day, something happened inside me. I kept asking myself why it hurt so much to see you leave, why I felt so empty, why it felt like I had lost something precious." Her voice trembled. "I thought choosing someone else was the right decision. He's everything a girl is supposed to want, stable, straightforward, committed. But even after choosing him, I kept thinking about you. Your silence hurt more than I expected. Your distance scared me. And when you muted me, I felt like I was disappearing from your life." I swallowed hard, listening carefully. She took a step closer. "You asked me a question last night, whether I want you or the comfort you gave me." She paused, then whispered, "I finally have the answer." My heart stopped for a moment. She looked straight into my eyes and said, "I want you." The world went still around me. My chest tightened. My breath caught. "But," she added quietly, that single word shattered the silence like a crack in glass. My heart clenched. "There's always a but. Always." She looked down again, tears forming at the corners of her eyes. "I want you. But I'm scared. I don't know if I'm ready for everything that comes with you. You feel too deep, too real, too intense, and I'm not sure if I can handle it." I felt something inside me slowly breaking. She continued, her voice fragile. "When I'm with him, everything feels simple, easy, predictable. But with you, I feel everything. Every emotion hits deeper. Every moment feels heavier. And that scares me because, what if I mess it up? What if I hurt you again? What if I lose you again?" Her eyes were glistening, her voice shaking. "I want you, but I don't know if I can promise you the stability you deserve." I stayed silent, letting her speak every word she had been holding in. She looked at me desperately. "Say something, please." I took a slow breath. "You want me, but you're afraid to choose me," I said softly. She nodded painfully. "You want to feel safe, not overwhelmed," I continued. She nodded again. "You want certainty, but I'm not certainty. I'm emotion." A tear slipped down her cheek. "You think you'll hurt me," I said gently. "But you already did, and I'm still here." Her lips parted, trembling. "Why?" she whispered. "Because when I care, I don't run away." She looked away, her breath uneven. I took a step toward her, gently lifting her chin so she'd face me again. "You don't need to be perfect for me," I said quietly. "You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to choose everything right now. But if you choose me without fear." She stared at me like she was seeing something she hadn't understood before. "Tell me one thing," I said. "Do you feel happier when I'm in your life?" Her voice cracked. "Yes. And do you feel something deeper with me than you do with him?" She hesitated only for a moment before whispering, "Yes." "Then why are you afraid?" She breathed out shakily. "Because I've never felt this kind of connection before, and it terrifies me." I gently wiped her tear with my thumb. "Everything real is scary," I whispered. She closed her eyes, letting my hand rest against her cheek for a moment that felt like it lasted forever. Then she opened her eyes slowly and said the words that shook me. "If I choose you, will you stay?" The wind stopped. My breath stopped. Time stopped. I held her gaze and replied, "Only if you choose me completely." She looked at me, scared, hopeful, emotional, torn. And in that moment, I knew something. Whatever she said next would decide the entire future. She took a deep breath, stepped closer, her lips trembling, and then she whispered softly, "I'm ready to tell you my decision." But before she could speak it, her phone rang. She looked at the screen and froze. It was him, the person she had chosen before. Everything inside her changed. Our expression, her breathing, her eyes. And in 1 second, the moment shattered. She looked at me helplessly and answered the call. She answered the call with trembling fingers, her eyes still locked on mine. I could hear her breathing quicken as she pressed the phone to her ear. "Hello?" she said, her voice barely steady. I couldn't hear what he was saying, but I could see the way her face slowly shifted, confusion first, then stress, then something that looked dangerously close to guilt. She turned away slightly, like she didn't want me to read her expression. I tried not to listen, but every word she said felt like a knife twisting inside me. "No, I'm not busy," she said softly. I felt my chest tighten. "I just stepped out for a walk," she added. She lied. Right in front of me. To him. Something about that cut deeper than I expected. Her voice dropped again. "No, I'm not with anyone." Another lie. I looked down at the ground, trying to keep myself steady. She stayed quiet for a few seconds, listening. Whatever he said made her close her eyes tightly. "Yeah, okay," she whispered. "I'll come." A hollow feeling spread inside me. After a moment, she ended the call and slowly turned back toward me. Her eyes looked different now, confused, torn, scared. like she was standing on the edge of something she didn't know how to deal with. "He wants to meet," she said quietly. I nodded. "I figured." She stepped closer, almost defensively. "I didn't tell him about us meeting because I don't know how to explain anything right now." I took a slow breath, forcing myself to stay calm. "You don't have to explain anything to me," I said. "Just be honest with yourself." She lowered her head, fingers twisting nervously. "I hate this," she whispered. "I hate feeling stuck between two different versions of my life. One safe, one scary, one easy, one real. And I'm the real one," I said with a sad smile. She looked up instantly. "You know you are. But still not your choice?" Her lips parted, but no answer came out. She stayed silent. That silence hurt more than any rejection. I stepped back a little. "So, is this the part where we pretend this meeting didn't happen?" "No," she whispered. "I don't want that." "But you're leaving to meet him." "I have to," she said helplessly. "Why?" "Because he deserves clarity too." I nodded again, trying to swallow the bitterness rising inside me. "And what about me?" I asked softly. "Do I deserve clarity?" She blinked rapidly, tears forming again. "You do, and you'll have it, I swear." I didn't respond. I couldn't. She took a step closer, almost reaching out to touch my arm, but she stopped halfway, her hand frozen in the air. "Please don't think I'm choosing him," she said in a breaking voice. "Then who are you choosing?" "I'm choosing myself. Right now," she said shakily. "Because I can't choose anyone if I'm this confused." I laughed under my breath, not out of amusement, but out of pain. "You know," I said quietly, "sometimes not choosing is also a choice." Her eyes filled instantly. "That's not fair," she whispered. "Neither is making someone wait when your heart is somewhere else." She looked like she wanted to scream or cry or run or collapse all at the same time. Then she said something unexpected, something that twisted everything inside me. "Give me one day," she whispered. "One day, I'll meet him. I'll face everything. And tomorrow, I'll come to you with a real answer. No fear, no confusion, no half choices." My heartbeat slowed. "One day?" I repeated. "Yes," she breathed. "Just one. Please." I stared at her, searching her eyes for any sign of doubt or hope. What I saw was both. "I don't want to lose you," she said softly, "but I don't want to choose you while my mind is still tangled." I took a long breath. "Fine," I said. "One day." Relief washed over her face. "But listen to me," I added slowly. "I'm not waiting forever, and I'm not going to compete with anyone." She nodded quickly. "You won't have to." "I promise." She stepped closer, so close that I could feel her breath. She hesitated for a second, then lightly touched my hand. That tiny touch sent a wave through me, warm, painful, hopeful, dangerous. "Tomorrow," she whispered. "I'll find you." And before I could say anything else, she turned around and walked away. I watched her leave, watched the distance grow between us with every step she took. She didn't look back, not even once. When she finally disappeared around the corner, the silence felt louder than the entire world. I sat down on the bench slowly, letting everything sink in. One day, just one day. But as I stared at the empty path she had walked away on, I couldn't shake the feeling that tomorrow might bring something I wasn't ready for. A truth, a heartbreak, a miracle, or the end of everything. That night felt endless. I kept checking my phone again and again, even though I knew she wouldn't message. She was with him, probably talking, probably explaining, probably facing everything she had been running from. And I was sitting alone in my room, staring at the ceiling like always, wondering what tomorrow would bring. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her walking away from me, her voice echoing in my mind. "Tomorrow, I'll come to you with a real answer." I didn't know whether to hold on to hope or prepare myself for heartbreak. Around midnight, I finally fell asleep. But even my sleep wasn't peaceful. I kept dreaming about her. The sound of her laughter, the warmth of her hug, the way she said, "I want you," followed by, "But I'm scared." When morning finally came, I woke up with a heavy chest, the kind of heaviness that told me something life-changing was waiting for me. I checked my phone. No message. I tried to convince myself not to overthink. She said she'd come. She said she needed one day. She said she would choose with clarity. But the silence, it killed me slowly. By noon, I still hadn't heard from her. I walked around restlessly, checking the door, the window, the phone, everything. Every vibration made my heart race, and every time it wasn't her, I felt myself sinking deeper. At around 3 p.m., I finally texted her. "Are you okay?" The message delivered, but she didn't reply. Minutes passed. Then, an hour. Then 2. My mind started spiraling. What if he convinced her to stay? What if she realized he was the safer choice? What if yesterday was the last time I saw her like that? I tried to distract myself. Music, work, walking. Nothing worked. By evening, I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed my jacket and stepped outside. The air was cold, heavy with the smell of rain. The moment I reached the street, my phone buzzed. Her name. My heart stopped. I opened the message immediately. "Can you come? Please." Just that. No explanation. No details. No location. Just come. I typed quickly. "Where are you?" This time she replied instantly. "The old bridge." Of course. The same place where everything started, and maybe where everything would end. I walked fast, almost running, my heart beat loud in my ears. When I reached the bridge, I saw her standing there, alone, leaning against the railing, staring at the water below. Her shoulders looked heavy, her posture tired, her breath uneven. She didn't notice me until I was a few steps away. When she finally turned, I saw it. Her eyes were swollen from crying. Her cheeks were still wet, her lips trembling. Something inside me broke instantly. I walked closer, slowly. "What happened?" I asked softly. She didn't speak. She just looked at me, with eyes full of 1,000 emotions. Fear, guilt, pain, love, confusion, and something else, something I couldn't read. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. She just shook her head, biting her lip. I stepped closer. "You can tell me," I whispered. She took a deep, shaky breath. "I met him," she finally said. "I know. We talked for hours." I nodded slowly. She continued, her voice cracking. "He asked me if I had feelings for someone else. He asked me if I chose him or you." My stomach tightened. "And I couldn't lie," she said, her voice trembling. I told him the truth. A cold shiver ran through me. "What truth?" She wiped her tears with the back of her hand. "That I feel something for you. Something deeper than I expected. Something stronger than I wanted." My heart throbbed painfully. "And then he asked me to choose," she whispered. I held my breath, waiting. She looked at me with eyes full of confusion and heartbreak. "And I couldn't," she said. Everything inside me froze. I couldn't choose him, but I couldn't choose you either. The wind blew harshly across the bridge, but the cold that hit me came from inside. I stepped back, just slightly. "So you chose no one?" I asked quietly. She nodded helplessly. I told him I needed time, that I wasn't ready for anything serious right now, that I'm too confused. And what did he say? He said he can't wait for someone who doesn't know if she wants him. I closed my eyes for a moment. "So, he walked away?" "Yes." "And you came to me," I said. She nodded again, tears streaming down. "I came to you because I didn't know where else to go." Her words struck me in a way I didn't expect. She didn't say she chose me. She said she came because she didn't know where else to go. I swallowed hard. "So what do you want from me?" I asked softly. She stepped closer, her voice shaking. "I want you to stay," she whispered. "Even if I'm not ready, even if I'm confused, even if I'm broken." She looked up at me with desperate eyes. "I don't want to lose you." I stood silently, letting her words sink in. She wanted me near her, but she wasn't ready to be mine. Not fully. Not wholeheartedly. Not yet. A part of me wanted to grab her, hold her, tell her I'd stay forever. But another part of me, a quieter, stronger part, knew that staying like this would break me slowly. I took a long breath. "If I stay like this, I'll lose myself," I said softly. Her face crumbled. "I don't want you to leave," she whispered. "And I don't want to be someone you hold on to because you're scared to be alone." She covered her mouth as more tears fell. "I just need time," she cried. "And I need clarity," I replied gently. We stood there, facing each other, the wind carrying our breaths into the cold evening air. After a long, painful silence, I stepped closer and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "I care about you more than you know," I said quietly. "But I can't be your almost." Her legs shook. Her breathing broke. Her heart felt like it was beating against mine. She whispered, "So, are you leaving?" "No," I said. "I'm stepping back, not walking away." She looked at me through tears. "What does that mean?" "It means I'll be here, but not in the same way. I won't disappear, but I won't let myself drown either. When you're ready, truly ready, come find me." She stared at me like her world was collapsing. "And until then," I added softly, "take all the time you need." Her lips parted, trembling. Her voice barely escaped. "Will you wait?" I took another breath, thinking carefully. "I'll wait. Just not forever." A tear slipped down her cheek as she whispered the only thing she could. "I don't want to lose you." And I whispered back, "Then don't." She stepped forward suddenly, wrapping her arms around me tightly. A hug filled with fear, love, pain, and everything in between. I held her for a long time, feeling her shake in my arms. And in that moment, I realized something. Sometimes the person you love is not ready to love you back. Not because they don't feel it, but because they're still fighting battles inside you can't see. And sometimes, love means stepping back, so the other person can grow into who they need to be. After that hug, the world felt painfully still. The kind of stillness that comes right before a storm. You can feel the pressure, the weight, the unsaid words sitting heavy in the air. She slowly pulled back, wiping her cheeks as if she was embarrassed by her own tears. I could see the guilt buried deep in her eyes. Guilt for hurting me. Guilt for hurting him. Guilt for not being able to choose. "I ruined everything, didn't I?" she whispered. "No," I said quietly. "You're just lost. And lost people don't ruin things. They just take longer to find their way." She breathed shakily, looking down at her hands. "I don't want to choose wrong," she murmured. "What if I choose you and then—" I gently stopped her. "I'm not asking you to choose right now." "I know," she said. "But my heart is pulling me in two different directions. With him, there's peace. With you, there's fire. And I don't know which one lasts longer." Her honesty cut deeper than a knife. "Sometimes," I said softly, "the fire is the only thing that keeps you alive." She looked up, eyes glistening. "And sometimes," she replied, "fire burns the things you love most." I had no answer for that. Not because she was wrong, but because she was right. She took a deep breath and stepped away from me, walking toward the railing of the bridge. She rested her hands on the cold metal, staring at the water below. "I wish you hated me," she said quietly. The words hit like a slap. "Why would you say that?" I asked. "Because then it would be easier to step away, easier to let go, easier to stop hurting you." I walked beside her, never breaking eye contact. "Hating you would be the most unnatural thing in the world for me," I said. Her lips shook. "I don't deserve that." "Maybe not," I whispered. "But feelings don't listen to logic." She exhaled long and slow, her breath fogging in the cold air. For a while, we just stood there, side by side, united by silence more than words. Then she finally spoke again. "He asked me," she said, her voice distant, "if I ever loved him." I stiffened. "What did you say?" "I told him the truth," she whispered. "That I tried. Tried. Not did. Just tried." My heart twisted. "And what about me?" I asked before I could stop myself. "Did you try? Or did you feel it?" Her eyes slowly turned to mine. Raw, unprotected, real. "I didn't have to try with you," she said softly. "That's the problem." A strange mix of relief and pain shot through me. She continued, her voice trembling. "With him, I'm comfortable. With you, I'm vulnerable. And I'm not used to being vulnerable. I'm scared of it." I moved closer, just a few inches from her. "Being vulnerable doesn't mean you're weak," I whispered. "It means you're human." "I'm scared of hurting you again," she said. "You probably will," I admitted. "We'll hurt each other, That's what real connections do. But I'd rather feel something real and painful than safe and empty." She swallowed hard. The wind blew her hair across her face. She didn't move it. I did. My fingers brushed her cheek, tucking the hair gently behind her ear. She closed her eyes just for a second, as if my touch felt like something she had been starving for. When she opened them again, tears were threatening to fall again. "Why do you make everything feel so intense?" she whispered. "Because it is," I replied softly. "And you feel it too." She didn't deny it. She couldn't. Then suddenly, her phone buzzed again. She flinched. I stepped back slightly. "Is it him?" She shook her head. "No. It's his sister." "Why is she calling?" She looked at the screen, breathing unevenly. "Probably because he told her what happened. She cares about him a lot. She never liked the idea of him being with someone confused." I nodded slowly. "Are you going to answer?" She stared at the phone, frozen. "I don't know," she whispered. "I'm scared she'll tell me I hurt him. Scared she'll tell me I'm selfish. Scared she'll tell me I don't deserve either of you." "Do you believe any of that?" I asked gently. She turned toward me, her eyes full of fear. "Sometimes I do." I stepped forward again, this time more firmly. "You're not selfish," I said quietly. "Confused? Yes. Scared? Definitely. But selfish? No. If you were selfish, you would have chosen whoever made your life easier. But you're here, breaking apart because you don't want to hurt anyone." She looked at me with an expression I couldn't quite describe, something between gratitude and heartbreak. "Then why does it feel like I'm doing everything wrong?" she whispered. "Because when you care about two people in different ways," I said, "every choice feels wrong." She inhaled sharply, her voice cracking. "What if time doesn't fix me? What if I stay confused forever?" "Then that's your answer," I said softly. "Not choosing is choosing." She shook her head, tears falling again. "I don't want to lose the fire," she whispered. "I don't want to lose you." I felt something inside me soften, then harden, then soften again. "You won't lose me," I said. "But you can't keep me halfway." She nodded slowly, painfully. Then something unexpected happened. She reached out and took my hand. Not gently, not hesitantly. She grabbed it like she was drowning. And I was the only thing keeping her above the surface. "I don't want halfway," she whispered. I stared at her fingers wrapped around mine, tight, shaking, desperate. "Then what do you want?" I asked quietly. She lifted her eyes, and what I saw in them was pure chaos. "I want you," she whispered. My breath caught. "But not yet." I froze. "I want you," she repeated, her voice breaking. "But I need to fix myself before I love you the way you deserve." My chest tightened painfully. "I don't want to enter your life broken," she said. "I want to enter whole. For you, for me." I stared at her, stunned, devastated, proud, hurt, all at once. "And until then?" I asked. She squeezed my hand. "Until then, stay close. Just close enough for me to feel safe, but not close enough for you to break." Her words felt like both a promise and a wound. "I don't know how to do that," I whispered. "I'll learn," she said. "And maybe you will too." The sun dipped lower, painting the sky with orange and pink shadows. She leaned her head on my shoulder slowly, gently, like she was testing whether she was still allowed to. And I let her. Not because it was easy, but because caring for her had never been a choice. As the wind brushed past us, she whispered one last thing, barely audible. "Don't give up on me, please." And all I could say was, "I'm trying not to." She didn't move from my shoulder for a long time. It felt like she was borrowing my strength, or maybe I was borrowing hers. Sometimes it's hard to tell who's holding who together, but eventually she lifted her head slowly, like it hurt to pull away. "I should go home," she whispered. "Do you want to?" I asked. "No," she admitted, "but I think I need to." There was a difference in her voice now. Not cold, not distant. Just tired. Tired in a way that comes from thinking too much and feeling even more. We started walking together, slowly. She didn't hold my hand, but her arm brushed mine every few seconds, like she couldn't decide whether to keep distance or collapse into me again. About halfway to the station, she stopped suddenly. "I can't go home like this," she said. "Like what?" I asked. She looked back at me. Eyes red, voice soft, heart exposed. Like someone who just told you she wants you, but not now. I stayed quiet. She continued, "He'll see my face. He'll know something's wrong, and I don't want to lie to him anymore." The honesty stung, but it also softened something inside me. "So what will you do?" I asked. "I don't know," she whispered. Silence again. Except this time it felt heavier. She exhaled shakily. "There's so much I haven't told you." "Then tell me." She hesitated for a long moment. Then finally, "I didn't just meet him before you. I met him at a time when I needed someone, anyone, to keep me from falling apart." I nodded slowly. I figured. "No," she said. "You don't understand. I wasn't okay back then, not even close. I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't eating. I wasn't myself. He didn't fix me, but he made me feel like maybe I wasn't completely alone." Her voice cracked. "And then you came along." I felt my heartbeat tighten. "You made me feel again. Really feel. And I didn't know what to do with that. I wasn't prepared for someone like you." I swallowed hard. "What does someone like me mean?" "You're intense," she said softly. "You're deep. You don't just talk, you connect. You don't just show up, you stay. You don't just feel, you feel everything." She looked away. "And I've never had someone look at me the way you do." "How do I look at you?" I asked. "Like I matter." Her voice was barely a whisper. "Like you see the parts of me I don't show anyone." I exhaled. "Because I do." She closed her eyes for a moment, then opened them again. "I want to choose you," she said. "But I'm scared I'll break you while I'm trying to fix myself." "You won't," I said. "You can't promise that." "You can't protect me from my own feelings," I replied gently. Her lips trembled. "And what about him?" she asked quietly. I paused. For the first time, I didn't know what to say. She continued before I could answer. "He loves me in a simple way. You love me in a dangerous way. And I don't know which version of love I'm strong enough for." "That's not fair," I whispered. "I know." Tears spilled down her cheeks again. "I know it's not fair. None of this is fair. Not to him, not to you, not even to me." I stepped closer. "Then stop trying to be fair," I said softly. "Just be honest." Her breathing hitched. "Honest?" she repeated. "Yes." She swallowed hard. "Fine," she whispered. "I'll be honest." The look in her eyes changed. Sharp, raw, real. "I think about you more than I should." Her voice shook. "I compare him to you. I replay our conversations. I reread your messages. I wait for your name to pop up on my screen. And every time I talk to him, a part of me feels guilty because I know I'm not fully there." My chest tightened. "And when I'm with you," she said, "I forget the world exists." The world tilted for a second. "You're not confused," I said quietly. "You're scared." She inhaled sharply, tears running freely now. "I'm terrified," she whispered. "Of loving me?" I asked. "No." She shook her head slowly. "I'm terrified of how much I already do." The words hit harder than anything before. She looked down, then up, then down again, like her thoughts were spiraling. "And that's why I'm stepping back," she said. "If I don't, I'll hurt all three of us. You, him, and myself." My heart dropped. "So this is goodbye?" I asked. "No," she whispered immediately, shaking her head. "Not goodbye." Her voice trembled. "Just not yet." I clenched my jaw. "And me?" I asked quietly. "What do I do with everything I feel?" She took a trembling breath. "You hold it," she said softly. "Hold it until I'm ready to hold it with you." "Do you really think that day will come?" I asked. She stepped close, so close I could feel the warmth of her breath on my skin. Her eyes didn't waver. "Yes," she whispered, "but only if you don't walk away now." "And if the weight breaks me?" I asked. "Then I'll come running," she said, "and I'll fix whatever I broke." Wind brushed past us, cold and sharp, but her eyes were warm enough to ruin me. She looked at me one last time. "Just don't replace me," she whispered. "I couldn't," I said immediately. She nodded, breathing unevenly. "Good," she whispered. Because the moment I'm ready, I'm coming back to you. She turned around before I could respond, walked away slowly, didn't look back, not even once. And I stood there, hands shaking, heart burning, mind racing, wondering if waiting for her was the bravest thing I could do, or the stupidest. The night she walked away kept replaying in my mind like a scene stuck on loop. Her voice, her trembling words, her last look, all of it stayed with me long after she disappeared down the street. Every day after that felt heavier. Not because she was gone, but because she wasn't completely gone. She left a door half open. And half-open doors are worse than locked ones. Because they keep you hoping. 3 days passed. She didn't message. Not even a single emoji. But she watched my story. Every time. That tiny scene under my name felt like torture wrapped in hope. On the 4th day, I finally caved and messaged her. Me. Did you get home safe that night? She replied 5 hours later. Her. Yes. Thank you. 2 words. Cold. Controlled. Distant. A complete opposite of the girl who cried into my shirt. I didn't reply. Not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't know what version of her I was responding to. The girl who held my hand like she couldn't breathe without me? Or the girl who needed space? The next day, she texted again. A little longer this time. Her. I'm sorry if I've been quiet. I just needed time to think. I stared at her message for a full minute before replying. Me. About me? She answered almost immediately. Her. About everything. It wasn't the answer I wanted, but it was the truth. Me. Are you okay? There was a long pause. Her. I don't know. Something inside me twisted. Me. Do you want to talk? Silence. Then. Her. Not yet, but soon. Soon. The vaguest, painful promise in the world. But I didn't push. I couldn't. The next 2 days were quiet again. On the 7th day, just after midnight, she sent a message out of nowhere. Her. I think I messed everything up. My heart dropped. Me. What happened? She took a whole minute to respond. Her. I saw him today. I froze. She continued. Her. He asked me why I'm distant. He said he feels like I'm somewhere else. And he's right. I didn't know what to say. So I didn't say anything. More messages came. Her. I couldn't look him in the eye. I couldn't tell him the truth. I couldn't say your name. I exhaled sharply. Me. What truth? Her answer came fast, like the words were already sitting on her tongue. Her. That I think about you more than I should. My heartbeat stuttered. Her. And that when he holds my hand, it doesn't feel the same anymore. My breath caught. Her. And I hate myself for it. I typed quickly. Me. Don't hate yourself for feeling something real. She replied instantly. Her. But I'm hurting him by even talking to you. I swallowed hard. Me. And what about me? Am I not getting hurt? A long, painful pause. Then. Her. You are, I know, and I'm sorry. Me. Then tell me to stop. Another pause. This one longer. Heavier. Her. I can't. My chest tightened. Me. Why not? She didn't answer for over 2 minutes. Finally. Her. Because losing you scares me more than facing the truth. I didn't know whether to feel relieved or destroyed. Me. What do you want from me? Her reply came slow, trembling. Her. I want your presence, not your pressure. That line hit deep. Me. And you? What should I expect from you? Her. Honesty. Confusion. And feelings I'm still trying to understand. At least she didn't lie. Me. Did you tell him? Her. No, I can't. Not until I know where my heart is. Her vulnerability felt like a blade with 2 edges. One cutting her, the other cutting me. Me. And where is your heart? She didn't reply quickly this time. It took her almost 3 minutes. Finally. Her. Somewhere between what's safe and what's real. I felt that. Too much. Me. And what am I? Her typing bubble appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Her. You're the part that feels real. My stomach dropped. But she didn't stop there. Her. And that's exactly why I'm scared of you. I closed my eyes. Me. Do you want me to stay? Another long pause. Then, her. Yes. Followed by, but don't get too close. Not yet. Her mixed signals were drowning me. Me. I don't know how to stay halfway. She sent the message almost instantly. Her. Then stay just enough. I'll come the rest of the way when I'm ready. I didn't reply. I couldn't. There was too much in my chest. She sent one last message. Her. Please don't give up on me. I'm trying, even if it doesn't look like it. And those words, as unfair as they were, as confusing as they sounded, became the rope I held on to that night. Not because I wanted to, because I didn't know how to let go. The next morning felt heavier than usual. Not because something bad happened, but because something had to happen now. This in-between space was killing both of us. Around 11 a.m., she texted again. Her. Can we meet today? Please. No hesitation. No overthinking. I replied. Me. When and where? She sent a location. A quiet park. The same place where everything between us had started. I reached earlier than her. 5 minutes. Then 10. My hands wouldn't stay still. I wasn't nervous. I was exhausted from waiting. Finally, she appeared. She looked tired. Eyes swollen. Expression lost. She sat down next to me, not too close, not too far. The distance said more than her words could. I made a decision, she said quietly. My stomach tightened. I nodded. Okay. She exhaled shakily. I talked to him last night. My heart started to pound. Not in fear, but because I knew whatever came next would change everything. She continued, her voice trembling. I told him I needed space. I told him I wasn't fully present. I told him, my heart isn't stable right now. I swallowed. And what did he say? He said he already knew, she whispered. He felt it before I said anything. Silence stretched between us. He asked me if there was someone else, she said, and I couldn't lie. My chest tightened painfully. What did you say? I asked. She didn't look at me. She stared at the ground. I told him yes. My breath caught. And then? I whispered. He asked if it was you. Her voice cracked. And I said, I don't know yet. The words hit like a punch. I didn't want to lie, she whispered. But I wasn't ready to say your name. I didn't know whether to be disappointed or relieved. She wiped her eyes. He didn't get angry. He didn't shout. He just went quiet. And that silence hurt more than anything. I stared at her hands. They were trembling. So where does that leave us? I asked softly. She finally looked at me. Really looked. You deserve a whole version of me, she said. And right now, I'm not whole. I nodded slowly. But do you want to be with me? She didn't hesitate this time. Yes. That one word hit deeper than every confused message put together. But not like this, she continued. Not when I'm broken. Not when you're hurting. Not while he's healing. Not while everything feels messy. I felt something in my chest loosen, like I'd been holding my breath for weeks. She reached out and held my hand, gently. This time, I'm choosing myself first, she whispered. Not him. Not you. Me. I stayed silent, letting her speak, because if I don't fix myself now, she said, I'll ruin you later. Her honesty was sharper than pain. And I don't want to ruin you, she whispered. The wind blew softly. Parents walked with kids. People jogged. Life moved normally. But our world felt like it was hanging by a thread. So what are we now? I asked finally. She breathed deeply. We heal. Separately. And if life brings us back together, then we won't be confused anymore. Her eyes softened. I'm not letting you go, she whispered. I'm just letting us breathe. I looked at her for a long moment. Is this goodbye? I asked quietly. She shook her head. No. Her voice cracked. It's see you when we're ready. She squeezed my hand one last time. Not desperate, not scared, not confused, but with acceptance. Then she slowly stood up. I'm going to take time, she said. Real time, not days, maybe weeks, maybe more. I nodded. And when I'm ready, she said softly, I'll come to you with a clear heart, not a divided one. Then she stepped back. 1 step, 2 steps, and this time, she did look back. 1 last glance, a small, sad smile, and she walked away, not running, not breaking, just walking. And for the first time, it didn't feel like losing her. It felt like letting her find herself, so she could someday find me. A week passed, then 2, then a month. Life didn't stop. Neither did the thoughts. Some days were easier, some nights weren't. Her absence wasn't loud anymore. It was quiet. The kind of quiet that teaches you things. I learned that love isn't always holding on. Sometimes it's stepping back. Sometimes it's waiting. And sometimes it's letting things fall into place on their own. I didn't message her. She didn't message me. Not because we didn't care, but because we finally understood that care doesn't always mean contact. Healing needs distance, and distance doesn't always mean the end. One evening, around sunset, I went to the same park, same bench, same spot. Not because I expected her. No, I just wanted to breathe in a place that once held too many feelings. The sky was turning orange. Kids were playing. People were laughing. And then I heard footsteps. Soft, hesitant, familiar. I didn't turn immediately. Something in me already knew. When I finally looked, she was standing there. Not broken, not confused, not trembling, just calm. Her eyes met mine, and for the first time in months, there was no guilt behind them. No conflict, no hesitation. She walked closer. No rush, no fear. Just quiet certainty. "Hi," she said softly. "Hi." She sat beside me, closer than before, comfortably close. "I'm okay now," she whispered. I nodded. "I can see that." She smiled, a small, genuine smile. The time helped. It always does. She looked at me for a long moment, like she was seeing me for the first time. Again, "I'm not here to complicate your life," she said. "I know. I'm not asking for anything. I know. And I'm not expecting anything." I turned to her. "What are you here for, then?" She took a breath, slow, steady. "To tell you something I should have said a long time ago." She held my gaze without flinching. "You were never the confusion," she said. "You were the clarity I wasn't ready for." My chest tightened. She continued, voice soft but sure. "I don't want the safe choice anymore. I don't want the half-love. I don't want the version of myself who kept running." She paused, swallowing hard. "I want the real thing, and the real thing was always with you." Wind brushed between us, warm and gentle, nothing like the cold nights we survived. She reached for my hand, not trembling, not unsure, not afraid. My fingers curled around hers instinctively, like they had been waiting without realizing it. She smiled again, the kind of smile that didn't carry weight anymore. "I'm here," she said quietly. "Not someday, not maybe, not when I'm ready." She squeezed my hand. "I'm here now." And for the first time, I believed her. This wasn't the girl who cried in my arms, or the girl who ran away, or the girl who didn't know what she wanted. This was the girl who finally chose herself, and then chose me with the same certainty. I didn't say much. I didn't need to. I just leaned my head against hers and whispered, "I'm here too." No promises, no pressure, no dramatic declarations. Just 2 people, finally meeting, with whole hearts, at the right time. And that was the real ending. Not perfect, not cinematic, just real, just enough, just ours. The end.